DJ Metal Craig of Craig's Mills from here, and I have one of the members of the band Necrosexual with me today. Hey, how's it going? Would you like to introduce yourself and what position you do in the band?
Hello, DJ Metal Craig. So you're not just talking to one of the members of Necrosexual, you were talking to the man, the namesake himself, the most electrifying man in corpse entertainment, the Joan Rivers of heavy metal, the grim one, the Necrosexual. And as for me, I play everything: vocals, screams, whip strikes, keyboards, lead bass, a little bit of lead guitar. And yeah, so thanks for having me. Stoked about this new album I have out. It's called Road to Rubble, and hope it rocks.
Right on. Thank you for having time to talk to me today, man. And I'd like to thank Imperative PR, Black Metal Archives for setting this up today with this interview before we get into the questions. The first question of the interview is please go back in the history of Necrosexual and how the band all got started.
Yeah, so I just realized that today is one day after our first show ever. We played our first concert as a band, Valentine's Day 2014 in Philadelphia. So here we are 12 years later, still rocking and rolling. And beyond that, I started performing as the Necrosexual back in 2011. The name is sort of a satire and celebration of heavy metal. But of course, heavy metal is sort of beyond parody in itself because you try to think of the most ridiculous band name, and there's already more ridiculous band names out there. So it was originally I was doing stand-up comedian stuff in like 2011. I started interviewing bands on YouTube. That got some momentum, and then eventually I realized I'm a musician as well. So if I'm gonna walk the walk or talk the talk about how most music sucks and is posers, I should start recording some music as myself. And so yeah, in 2014, started recording music, started playing out, and here we are.
Who designed the Necrosexual band logo?
So there's a couple answers to that question, Craig. So originally, I had commissioned Ross Sewage from a band you might know, like Ghoul or Exhumed. And Ross, Dr. Sewage, the good doctor, came up with the logo. And then on this new album, which I have here, we had Scott Johnston. He's the album artist, so he does everything by hand. So he went, and as you can see, this is the hand painted typography that appears on the album Road to Rubble. So Scott Johnston went and sort of redesigned and painted his interpretation of the Raw Sewage logo.
Right on, man. That's cool.
Yeah,
And the next one I want to ask you about is how does it feel being on Black Metal Archives for this release?
feels pretty grim. Yeah, so Black Metal Archives, they're a brand new label out of the UK. I believe they had some help or some support in some capacity with Carl Willits from Bolt Thrower and Memoriam getting set up. So I saw through Carl that they were looking for some bands to start the roster. And as it turns out, Necrosexual Road to Rubble album, I'm the very first release in CD form on the Black Metal Archives label. So they say you always remember your first. So to all you heavy metal freaks in the UK, you can order yours in the UK. First time I've ever been abroad, and get your CD from Black Metal Archives label. And likewise in the USA, I have CDs that I've self-released with a little bit of help from Shirley Rose Records, as well as vinyls and cassettes on the way too.
Right on. And just so you know, I've actually interviewed Carl Willis for Memoriam a while back in 2021, I think it was.
Yeah, me too. He's a good dude. He's a true believer.
Yeah, he's awesome. I'm trying to see if I can get a second interview set up with him at some point when he has new material out. I just don't know when that's going to happen yet, bud.
Yes. Well, best of luck.
With Road to Roll coming out on February 27th, 2026, where can the album be pre-ordered or purchased?
So I have it available in the USA zone on my Bandcamp, necrosexual.bandcamp.com, as well as on my amp wall. I think it's also necrosexual.ampwall.com. And you can also head over, if you're in the UK, to the Black Metal Archives label to get yours on CD. And even though it comes out in a few weeks, I already have CDs and vinyls on hand. as you can see here. So they're ready to rock and go straight to the mailbox to your speakers. So go get yourself one. Thank me later.
What are the band's immediate music career goals?
Well, I've been doing this since 2011, so I enjoy getting on stage, performing, feeling the volume. I think with this new album, I'm really hoping that this wins some new fans over and we get to tour, do festivals, the rock and roll dreams of grandeur and glory and self-cautionary tales.
Sorry, I lost my place in the question. So just give me a second, bud. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
it's all
Who are
good,
the
man.
band's musical influences?
So we've been compared a lot to Venom, which is a high compliment. Of course, with the corpse paint and some falsettos on the record, there are some King Diamond, Merciful Fate, certain influences, of course. I'd say Nasty Savage with the vocals as well. Pretty much anything from the 80s, we all bang with. So if it's old school and if it's heavy and if it's from the 80s or 90s, it's probably an influence of ours. That's the short version of it.
Funny thing you mentioned the 80s and 90s. I grew up in that era too. I'm 50 now. I've been doing death metal vocals since I was 16.
Yeah. Thank you for your service.
I still have to get my band going back up, a 20-year hiatus. We had some difficulties with the lineup and we broke up for a while. It's me, my girlfriend, and I'm looking for other members right now.
Nice. The couple that rocks together. I love that.
What social media outlets can the band Necrosexual be found on?
I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Bandcamp, Ampwall, banned from TikTok. I'm too hot for TikTok, but just about everywhere else. If you search the necrosexual, surely you will find me.
This next one might get you on a bit of a rant. What advice do you have for people who want to form their own bands?
Don't. that's that's my advice. Don't. There's too many bands. But if I cannot dissuade you from doing that, I would say don't cut corners. Be true to yourself. Make it worth your time, and also respect the audience. Make it worth their time because there's so much music out there. There's so much media. There's so many things that are competing for people's time and attention. I would say, make it special, whatever it is, and also learn to do as much of it on your own as possible because the less people you have to rely on, the less chances you're going to be let down.
This next one's a really good one. I threw it in as an extra tonight. Please give some vocal tips or advice for starting out vocalists.
So vocals are funny because again, I'm sort of the namesake of this band. So it's something that I kind of had to do. But I've never really considered myself much of a vocalist. I play bass, I play guitar. This is kind of my first love. But I think Barney from Napalm Death. I've done some interviews, and I remember Barney was saying like he doesn't really do much like vocal stuff. He just tries to be healthy. I think that's the best. That's probably the best advice. Be healthy, get your rest. Your voice is your instrument, so maybe don't go smoking a pack of cigarettes before you hit the stage or if you hit the studio, unless that's what you're going for. But if you feel good, if you feel confident, and if you feel healthy, I think your voice is going to sound good. And if you're having fun, it's going to sound like you're having fun. And I think, especially with vocals, that's important. With the necrosexual, there's a lot of the criticism of my past releases that weren't crazy about the vocals, and it is what it is. Like, I'm not trying to, sing like Dio or growl. I'm just sort of doing my own thing. So I spend a lot of time when I'm like in the studio, especially on this new album, just trying to make sure the emotion really comes through and not settling for good enough. You want to make the vocals especially perfect because that's the human link. That's the thing that people are going to hear and connect with. And if it sounds off or if it doesn't sound like authentic, it's easy to pick that out more so, I think, than other instruments.
I think you mentioned vocals. Do you know who Cradle of Filth are?
Of course, yeah.
She was there.
Hell yeah. That's a good Golem impersonation you got going on.
Yeah, and I can do his low talking too. The moon feels like a cruel portrait.
Pretty grim.
I've learned from all the old school stuff like Deicide, Incantation, 6 Feet Under, Cannibal Corpse, both George Fisher and Barnes era. I also learned from Malignancy. I'm trying to learn a bit of Deeds of Flesh too in my vocal ranges.
Yeah, Demolich. I don't even know how he does that. I interviewed Auntie Bowman from Demolich a few years ago, and he was telling the story where he was, I guess, playing, the Nest fifth album for his mom, and or maybe one of their demos, and she was like, "Oh, the music is very good, but when are you going to start singing?" And he's like, "Mother, I've been singing the whole time." So, which is available on YouTube if you want to see my various interviews. I've interviewed some big names and some big underground icons over the years.
I miss Joe Patek, buddy.
Yeah, rest in peace.
And I'm going to show you that I can do him too.
I remember in when I was in high school, uh, the vocalist of Cryptopsy left the band, and I was like 15 or 16 years old. But I was really into Cryptopsy at the time, and I guess it was before Lord Worm rejoined. So so there was an opening, basically a vacancy in Cryptopsy. So I thought, so I would put on None So Vile when after school, and I would try to do my Lord Worm vocals very poorly. And then one time my mom came home and I didn't realize she was home and heard me. And I feel like having your mom walk in on you practicing harsh vocals is like way more embarrassing than having them walking on you like touching yourself. I think I would have rather have had that happen. So I stopped. That kind of dashed my dreams of trying out for Cryptopsy, and I haven't really messed with super guttural vocals since then.
If you could be endorsed for band gear, who would you choose as your band gear endorsement?
That's a good question. I got a lot of guitars. I'm in my studio room, so I think I'm good on guitars. I was just thinking, as I was getting ready for this interview, I would love to get endorsed by Maron Face Paint because I've gone through so much black and white, clown white over the years, and that's just not cheap either. So I'd say Maron Paradise Face Paint. Um, one of the benefits about wearing corpse paint is like I saw Nine Inch Nails last night and I got a little bit of a heavy metal hangover. But when you're wearing corpse paint, you don't need to worry about the black circles under your eyes because it kind of all blends in. And if anything, it can kind of be a sort of to your advantage. So I would say Maron Paradise Face Paint will be a sick endorsement. Also, Franzia Box Wine. I've made many jokes. I've done photo shoots with their box wines. I think I've done a lot for their brand just on my comedic endeavors alone. My fans always make jokes about Franzia. They'll bring me Franzia boxes. And I've always been trying to get a Franzia thing. So we'll see. Maybe a ghoul can dream.
And you mentioned Ross Stewart and the band Ghoul and Exhumed. I actually met guys from Impale when Leon Del Mercy wasn't with them here in town, and Ross was on vocals filling in.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Wish I
Hell
could
of an
get him
artist.
for an interview.
Hell of a bass player.
Okay. And that leaves us with the last question of the interview, and we'll need the station IDs from you.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I said we've got one more question for the interview tonight, and we'll need the station IDs from you, as in the IDs for the radio stations.
Sure. What station?
First, I got to ask you the last question of the interview.
Okay.
What new band news do you have on the next sexual front? As in anything we might have missed in this band interview?
Yeah, thank you. So I think the biggest news is February 27th. We got the Road to Rubble available in the USA as well as in the UK, CD, vinyl in the US, CD in the UK, and it's shipping out already. So go get yours if you dig it. And then also, we just filmed a music video with my one photographer friend, Chris Kuntz. He's been a long-term photographer, collaborator of mine, as well as my friend Liam McGlynn. He's also been one of my cameramen over the years, filmed a lot of interviews with me behind the lens. So I'm looking forward to having that. It's for the song off the album Nocturnal Ignition, and it should be out here in the next few weeks. So keep your eyes and ears peeled, baby.
Right on. And at least with the same. And the first one is for Rock Addict Radio, and you can say, hey, this is your name of Necrosexual, and you're listening to Rock Addict Radio.
Hello, this is the Necrosexual, and you're listening to Rock Addict Radio.
And then I'll need another one for Mangled Music Radio.
What was that?
Mangled Music Radio.
Gotcha.
Mangled.
Right. All right. This is the Necrosexual, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
And then the last one's for Craig's Metal Storm.
All right. This is the last one. Gotta make it good. What's up, sluts? This is the Necrosexual, and you're listening to Craig's Metal Storm Radio. Play loud.
Cool. Thank you very much for the interview. Thank you very much for your time, man.
Thank you for your time, baby. Stay true.
Have a good one, buddy.
Rock on. Thanks, Craig.